So you've been taking the courses, you've been listening to the podcast, you've been watching the YouTube videos, and maybe even following some of your favorite teacher grammars and teacher TikTokers, but you're still not sure exactly what you should post on social media that's actually going to get you results. And when we're talking about results, we're talking about leads and sales, because at the end of the day, you're a business owner. Now, if you are going for reach and views because you want to work with brands, let me just direct you to the Teacher Creator podcast. You should definitely subscribe to that one as well, and you'll find that information down in the video description. But for this podcast, if you're watching or listening, I'm guessing you already have a business. You have at least a few products or resources that you want to sell, and you want to use social media as a tool to do that. I've got you covered. We're going to talk about exactly the kinds of content you can create to get you more leads and sales. That means people on your email list, purchases directly from the platform. You don't have to wait until they're on your email list, by the way. They can buy directly from you through a link that you send to them automated on social media, which is amazing. So let's talk about what to actually post in this episode. Let's get to it. Welcome back to the Social Media Magic Podcast. My name is Brittany Verlinich. I'm a content strategist, social media manager, total marketing nerd, and I'm the host of this show. So first, before I get into the content, I just want to say thank you so much for watching or listening. It means so much to me that you're giving me your time and attention, and I am so grateful. Hand over heart right now. I truly mean it. I know how busy you are, so thank you so much for being here, and let's dive in. There are really only a few buckets when it comes to the type of content that you can create. In the last episode, if you haven't watched or listened to that one yet, I talked about the kinds of content by format. So I talked about long form, evergreen, seasonal, annual or recurring, and timely content as far as format. But there's also a type of content as far as what you actually do to create it. And this might be a big light bulb episode for you, because if you can get this right, if you can either make sure that you're using all of these different kinds of content in your strategy, or you want to go really hard on one of them and have your account be known for doing this, it's going to do so much for you. And to make things even easier, I've made all of these start with a D so you can remember them. And the first one is to document. If you can document your journey in doing something, in either getting to a certain milestone, in achieving something, in learning a new skill, in mastering a technique, your account will blow up, and it will probably blow up overnight. I have seen the most amazing things happen. I mentioned this in an episode of the Muse News maybe last week about this amazing creator, Reed Harrington. In less than 10 days, he grew his account on Instagram from 0 to over 100,000 followers. This is Instagram. And the way he did it was, he even said, it was very clever, I am documenting myself getting to 100,000 followers, except I'm not logging into my account. I'm not paying attention to how many followers I have. I'm recording all the videos. I'm sending them to my editor. My editor is going to upload them and respond to comments. I'm not doing any of it. And he even had a thing he did in every video. I don't know how many followers I have, but you do. And he pointed to the number that he knew was going to be on the screen that his editor was going to add later. Now, was there actually an editor, or was it just him? I don't know. I have invited him / his editor to come on the show. I hope that they do. It would be so great to have him share about that, have them share about that. But if not, I just want to use that as an example of them documenting something and what happened. One of the reasons, I think, because when it comes down to it, marketing is just human behavior in practice. So we talk about buyer behavior, but it's just human behavior, psychology applied. When you're able to buy into something bigger than you, you're coming along for the ride of the journey. You need to see what's going to happen next. You're bought in. You are cheering this person on. You feel like you really know them, and you can kind of relate because maybe there's a part of something they're going for or that they have that you want to. I mean, like, who watching or listening to this podcast wouldn't like 100,000 followers? Now, watch how you respond to that question, because some of you might go, "Ooh, I don't want that many people looking at me." And I get it. Fair enough. But isn't that something we all kind of want? Like, why would we spend time or energy or effort showing up on social media, showing up for our businesses, if there's not at least a part of us that didn't want to have massive success? Like, isn't that amazing? So what he did is pretty incredible. And I think it was because of this documentation strategy. He was documenting the journey, and technically it wasn't really him because he was just recording the video. So there's also the creativity and the flair there. But his editor was documenting, okay, now we're at 1,000 followers. Now we're at 10,000. Now we're at 20,000. Oh my gosh, are we going to do it? How long is it going to take? And he got really good engagement in the comments because of that. So that is one example of documentation. Another really popular one is The Game by Alex Hormozi. I'm not sure every teacher seller I know or TPT person would be a fan of, but I love Alex Hormozi. I love the stuff he puts out. I love Layla too. I think they're hilarious, and I think that they have a lot of really good advice to share about business and marketing, so I think you should check it out. That's what he really talks about doing. Even in his intro, he talks about documenting them getting to a certain point, what he was learning. So if you go back to his earlier episodes, you can see it really evolve over time as he learned more, as his own business grew, he shared more. And actually, if you go over to my own journey, becoming prolific, I am documenting my journey. It's kind of the watch to see if I sink or swim kind of thing. I'm trying to build up my store to sell it within a year. Will I actually do it? I don't know. I might need another year. We'll see. But you can follow along over on my Substack, Becoming Prolific. I have that link down in the episode description as well. Those are examples of documentation content. Follow along with me as I blank. Fitness accounts are great for this too, and not fitness accounts in the sense of I'm already fit, let me teach you how to exercise, but those accounts you've probably seen where it says something like, I'm going to walk a mile every single day. Actually, this is a really creative one. I'm going to walk a mile every single day for however many followers I have. So that is something that you can actually interact with because you're like, oh, I'm going to follow this person and add a mile. So that's one account I saw, and I wish I could remember the creator, but that was so clever. Another one I've seen is follow me on my journey to lose 100 pounds. And so every single day they share their progress and you're cheering them on and you feel like you can support them and you feel like you know them and you want to support them. So that's documentation. So I want you to be thinking about, does this call out to me? One reason I really like this style of content is because one, it helps you build a relationship with your person who's following you or viewing your content really quickly. And two, if you are getting in your head about being the expert, if you don't feel like you can adequately call yourself an expert, but you are an enthusiast, you are interested, and you do have some kind of A to Z journey that you can take people through or on, then that is a great style for you to consider. The second type that is probably one that you're more familiar with, that is more common, is demonstration. We see this a lot in the teacher seller space. This is when you think about a video product preview, right? Someone is demonstrating the use of the product. TikTok is full of this, right? Basically any TikTok shop affiliate video where someone is applying the makeup, they're using the phone holders, they're showing how this cream or spray or whatever works, that is demonstration content, and it is highly effective. Even when you know how this strategy works, it is so easy to fall for because you're like, wow, that product does look really good, right? Like maybe I do need those teeth whitening strips. Demonstration works because it's not even about you and your expertise or what you know or what you can do. It's about the method. It's about the tool. It's you positioning whatever the star of the show is as a solution to the problem they have. Now you still play a part because even if you don't want to have your face on it, which is another reason I think it is so popular in the printable and digital product world, you can still do a voiceover explaining how something works, why something works. I did this 9 times table trick a couple years ago, and I was showing how I did it, and it was so awkward because I was holding up my phone with one hand and I was trying to write and record with the other hand, and it was so messy and ugly and the quality was grainy, but that was one of my reels on my Math Seller account that did really well because I was explaining how it worked. This was in the early day of voiceovers, and I think it was just because it was helpful. Like the information was really helpful where a teacher who maybe hadn't seen that before went, oh, that's actually really cool. It was about like 9 times 2 is 18, 9 times 9 is 81. So I was showing how the numbers flipped, 9 times 3, 27, 9 times 8, 72. So it's kind of fun, right? It's fun to do that for the teachers or for the students. That was something that was kind of easy to go viral in the sense that that could apply to a very large audience. But the cool thing is I didn't even really have to show my face for that. I could just voice over, explain what I was doing, and then to make it more visually engaging, I think, I don't quite remember, but I feel like I did. I might not have. I would do this now. If I was doing that again, I would speed it up so that the speed was like times 1.5 so that it looked like really fast me writing on the paper because just writing normal speed's pretty boring. That's another pro tip. When you're actually creating the content, when you are recording, when you're filming, think about what's going to make it more visually engaging or interesting to watch because that's going to hook somebody in. That's going to make them stop scrolling and actually watch or read your content. And it's also going to ensure that you have higher retention, that someone keeps watching it if it's a video. Demonstration is across all niches. Fitness is another one where this shows up. Think about anyone who's doing a workout routine and they're showing you what it actually looks like. For cooking and food vloggers, this could be them actually walking you through the recipe and explaining what they do, what they don't do, what technique they're using. For my travel vloggers, this could be them actually packing their bag. I think travel vloggers could actually be a lot better at this. Usually we record ourselves traveling, but that's more documentation, right? This is me traveling, and that's not usually perceived as valuable by the viewer. But if I why? Show you how to pack a bag. That's another one I did. I did this live stream where I packed my backpack and I showed the teachers in my group how I was able to get 8 weeks of clothes and supplies in a, I think 20-liter backpack or something small like that. And they were like, no way. And that's another engagement strategy too. If you make a big, bold promise, that's like, there's no way she's going to do that. That also brings people in. But they were surprised, like, oh, wow, she actually did it. That's wild. And I just recorded, I set my camera down, and again, not great quality, but I think don't get stuck in that, okay? Like, I promise you, you are feeling way more weird about everything than the person watching it is. And if it really isn't that good or engaging, they'll just scroll past. They won't even think about it, right? It's better that you get the reps in and practice. That's just my philosophy in general. So we have documentation, we have demonstration, and we also have delight. And delight is a big category. This is your cat pictures, your funny memes, big, broad audience, teacher relatable content. This could be comedy. This could be trends. Basically, the idea is to entertain, to uplift them, to encourage them. It's a different kind of value. They're not necessarily learning something. And I mean, you could even say by documenting something that could be uplifting and inspirational, depending on how it's recorded and delivered. But it's a little bit different because the purpose is to make somebody feel something positive, right? So this is you're making them laugh, you're making them smile, you're making them go, aw, or that's sweet. You can probably start to see this. And that is my homework to give you, by the way. As you are scrolling, the next time you scroll, I want you to pay attention. Every time something makes you stop scrolling, which I want you to do this all the time anyway, I want you to start thinking like a marketer. Every time you stop scrolling, what made me stop scrolling? What hooked me in? Okay, I'm going to write that down. That is what I do, by the way. You could do that too. You could make these notes over time and you'll start to see patterns across all niches. Anyway, I want you to pay attention to which of these buckets, like, oh, this person's demonstrating something. Oh, this person's documenting their journey. Oh, this person's focusing on entertainment. And you'll start to see which one you feel drawn to as a consumer. And then you'll also start thinking, I can see myself doing that, or I definitely cannot see myself doing that. And there's 2 more. So number 4 is to dissect, which we teachers love to do, right? We love to nerd out, especially my history and my science teachers listening to this. You want to nerd out about something, and you have probably been holding yourself back because you're thinking, no one is going to care about this. This is too niche. No one is going to listen. Nobody is going to be interested. I can guarantee you, okay, there is someone else out there who cares about this stuff as much as you do, and they're probably your ideal client or customer. Now, where delight content is usually broader and it's going to reach a wider audience, that's where you get more opportunity for reach and views and virality. Dissection content is going to be much more narrow because you are reaching people who are hyper interested. The challenge here is to think about the customer journey and where your customer or your past customer, future customer is. Are they going to know a lot about this topic? Are they going to be interested but not knowledgeable? You have to think about that. But basically, dissection content is actually, this is a good example. This is technically dissection content. I'm taking something and I'm breaking it down. I'm releasing a lot of these episodes lately because I'm thinking about how I can start getting my audience to think more like marketers, because one thing I often hear from y'all is social media doesn't come naturally to me. I'm not a salesperson. I don't like marketing. I don't like selling. But these are all just skills. Nobody's naturally a salesperson. Nobody comes out of the womb selling anything, right? Nobody comes out of the womb making a marketing plan. Like, these are all skills that you learn, even teaching. Even though I think many teachers are drawn to teaching because they're naturally nurturing and patient and they either like kids or they have kids, you have to learn all of that stuff too. I think sometimes we forget when we've been teaching for a while, when we've been managing a classroom for a while, we forget how brutal those first couple of years were when we didn't know how to manage behaviors, when we didn't know how to have systems for our classroom. Everything is learnable. Everything is figure outable. Everything is doable, okay? You can do this. So dissection content is when you give commentary. Reaction videos are another good example of this. You might take a video that is popular in your niche. This is a great way to ride the coattails of virality, by the way. If a certain video by another creator went viral, you can stitch it if you're on TikTok. You can sequence it, I think it's called, if you're on Instagram. Basically, the video plays first, and then you want to put text over the screen that says something like stitch incoming, and then you record your take. Or if it's like a reaction video, you play the video in the background, and then you have like yourself like doing this to it or like looking at it. I see this a lot, especially with the doctors in the medical space. They'll play something and be like, actually, that's not right, and this is why. But you can do that too, especially if you want to position yourself more as a scientific, authoritative voice on something specific. So that definitely works too. Okay, and number 5 is debate. I love this one. This is like the one I think I have the most fun with in my social media content, and that is debate. This is when you share your hot takes, your unpopular opinions, or your popular unpopular opinions, because almost every time I see someone say unpopular opinion, it's something that actually a lot of people think. I think that's part of the strategy, but anyway, you can share what you think and believe about certain things. Maybe you can refute a common misconception, or you can address a belief that many people have about your niche or specialty, something you know, and say what you actually think. Share why you go against the grain, why you do things differently. One of mine was for my math store was that I didn't think rote memorization was a terrible thing. And I know all these teachers are clutching their pearls. How can you say that? And I would say that's where you start, but that's not where you stay. Of course, you want to understand numbers. You want to have number sense. And I need you to be fast, because then when we move on to division, I need you to know your multiplication and division facts, because we're moving on. And I like to move quickly in my classroom. So that was one of my hot takes. Another hot take I had was 3 times 5 isn't the same as 5 times 3. That video went crazy viral. And I had parents yelling at me like, this is Common Core new math. And what I was saying was, it's what the models look like, right? Because, they never actually read. Nobody reads anything. That's another lesson on social media. You're putting all this beautiful long stuff in a caption. Almost nobody's reading it. They only read the text that's on the screen. So make sure your call to action is always on the screen. That's a pro tip, by the way, for your reels, your short form videos in general. And make sure that your visual hook is also on the screen. You should have a visual hook with what's actually happening in the video. You want to have a visual hook with the text that's on the screen. And also the first line of the caption is what they're going to see unless they tap on it. So make sure the first line says something really juicy and interesting as well. So I'm just going to review those really quickly again. You want to document, take your customer, your client, your viewer, your subscriber, your follower on a journey with you. You want to demonstrate, teach people how to do something. The more you can actually show it happening, the better. By the way, you can absolutely take your video product previews and repurpose that in a short form video. Like, please do. Number 3 is delight. You want to entertain, inspire, uplift. You want to make people laugh and feel good, and make content that reaches a wide audience that is easily shareable. That is the ticket. 4 is dissect. You want to break something down. You want to give reactions to other content. You want to give your own commentary. You want to give really thought through analyses. Sharing articles that support your thoughts on this are great too, or you even analyzing an article that someone else published. And number 5, related to that, is debate. That's when you share your hot takes, your unpopular opinions. And in a way, debate and dissection content can also cross over. For example, if you're reacting to someone else's content, you might give an analysis, but you might also share a hot take on whether or not you agree with them and why. I hope that your mind is going with ideas on the kinds of content that you can create. By the way, if you just watched or listened to the end, thank you so much. While you're here, if you did like this video and you are watching on YouTube, can you go ahead and hit subscribe, and then click that little bell so you never miss notifications of when a new video is posted. If you are watching or listening on Spotify, or just in general, if you're listening, can you please leave a review for this podcast? That would mean the world to me. I would appreciate it. Again, this is the Social Media Magic Podcast. My name is Brittany Verlinich. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and we'll talk soon.